we please talk about Suga Sean O'Mally making his third trip to the Octagon this year, this weekend at UFC 252, against Marlon Cheeto Vera. Now, this one is interesting because, look, if you're an MMA fan, you're well aware of the Suga Sean O'Mally hype train. You're well aware of it, right? He looked sensational against Eddie Wineland, but with that being said, Eddie Wineland is a slightly undersized wrestler. However, I'm not going to take anything away from Sean O'Mally because at the end of the day, if Wineland had taken him down and pounded him, then we'd be talking about Eddie Wineland being brilliant. Do you know what I mean? It's, at the end of the day, there are no easy fights in the UFC, but there are some fights that are harder than others. Let's just put it that way. Now, Sean O'Mally, he often has a pretty good height and reach advantage, and this fight is no exception. Marlon Vera, he is from Ecuador, I believe. I didn't actually check that, but in my head he's from Ecuador. Let me know in the comments if I might be wrong, but either way, I'll check it after I've done this video. I can't bother to re-record it, so I'm gonna put my money on Ecuador. That might be a terrible bet. Why do I think? Anyway, I digress. I'm moving on. Marlon Vera, he's 5'8", and he's got 70 and a half inch reach. Whereas Suga Sean O'Mally is 5'11", he has a 72 inch reach, right? So he is going to have a slight reach and height advantage, which he usually uses very well. Sean O'Malley's strike, it looked really good against Eddie Wineland, but my question is Eddie Wineland really known for his striking? And the answer to that is no. Right? So is it possible that Sean O'Malley, his striking looked better than it was because he was against somebody that wasn't on his level when it comes to striking? But then the other question is Marlon Vera on his level when it comes to striking? We're going to find out, aren't we? So, thing is like, because of the hype train, now you've got to be careful with hype trains, because this is where you can find some really good odds, some really tempting odds. Because Sean O'Malley is coming in at the 1.36 favourite, right? Now, Marlon Vera is 3.25 just to get the win. Now, that is crazy odds, really, for any fighter. I think that it's to do more than 3 to 1 on something where there are two outcomes. Either well, obviously there's the draw as well, but that's very rare. Where you've got two fighters on a 2-horse race, to give more than 3 to 1 on either of them, I think that could be a bit crazy. Now, is Suga Sean O'Malley good? Yeah, we know he is, right? Is he as good as the hype, though? That's the question. And we're going to get answers to that this weekend. Because the thing is, I don't think this is dead right. There is one thing we know for sure, right? Now, do we know if Sean O'Malley is as good as the hype suggests? We don't know that, right? But one thing we do know for sure is that Marlon Vera is the toughest fight that he has had in his career so far. That we know, okay? So to try and get these bets to be really terrible, and to try and get some shred of hope, some glimmer of hope that the bet is going to come off, you need to try and find some of these little nuggets of information. Now, that nugget of information is an important one because Marlon Vera is the hardest fight that Sean O'Malley is going to have had in his career thus far. Now, both of these guys are finishers, right? Sean O'Malley's had 12 fights, he's 12-0, right? But only 4 of those fights are in the UFC if you discount the Dana White's Contender Series, which I do because that's not a UFC event, it's kind of a feeder kind of show, which is good, but that's not a UFC fight. He's only had 4 appearances in the UFC. 2 finishes, 2 by decision. That's for Suga Sean O'Malley, right? And none of them were against particularly well-known guys. I mean, Eddie Wineland, I was aware of who Eddie Wineland was because we'd seen him fairly recently before then, but the rest of it, they're just not as well-known fighters. I'm not saying that they're easy fights because I said there are no easy fights in the UFC, but some are harder than others. I would say that those were probably in the easier bracket. Now, Marlon Vera, he was last seen against Song Yadong. Now, Song Yadong is a killer. Song Yadong, he's such a good fighter, right? And that was a really close decision. When I was watching that fight, it wasn't a robbery either way, but I was very surprised that the judges unanimously gave it to Song Yadong. I was surprised because I thought that Marlon Vera won that fight, but it was close, right? But what I'm saying is that there's no shame in losing a close decision to Song Yadong. Song Yadong is a really elite level fighter. He's very, very good, and those are the kind of guys that Marlon Vera is having close fights with. I don't feel like Sean O'Malley has fought anybody of Song Yadong's caliber yet. Before that fight with Song Yadong, Marlon Vera was on a 5-fight win streak. Not just a 5-fight win streak, but a 5-fight win streak in the UFC. Also, all 5 of those fights, he finished inside the distance. 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. Which is why I think Marlon Vera, I'm not saying he definitely will, but he could easily finish Sean O'Malley. Like, Sean O'Malley is going to be getting to these kind of fights now where he's going to be against people that are they're on his level. Maybe. I mean, we don't know. Maybe Sean O'Malley is as good as the hype. We don't know. But what we do know is this is going to be his toughest test. And when they're giving 5-1, well, basically, for the submission, you've got plus 7.5, right, for Marlon Vera. For the knockout, you've got plus 12, right? Just to put that into perspective, you've got the knockout at 2.63 for Sean O'Malley, right? But looking at those, it's difficult to pick one or the other because, as I say, in that 5-finish run, 2 submissions, 3 knockouts for Marlon Vera. So it's, pick your poison. So I say don't pick your poison. I say go for the double chance. For the knockout or sub, you got 5-1 there on Marlon Vera. That's a bet that I'm taking all day. I'm having a go on that because you know what? Whilst there is a good chance that Sean O'Malley cruises in on his hype train, choo, and just smashes straight through Marlon Vera, there's a chance. There's a chance that happens. There's also a chance that Marlon Cheeto Vera shows why he was being matched up with guys like Song Yadong in the first place and finishes this cocky kid. He could do it. Could happen. But probably won't because I've thrown my money on it. And that, as always, is an absolutely terrible bet. But either way, we're going to find out a lot in this fight. A lot of things are going to get revealed this weekend. And like I said, it's always just a little bit more fun to stick a little bit of money on it. So we will find out how that one pans out at the weekend. But until then, keep those odds long and those bets terrible. And I will see you next time.